is to try again.
What is happening, everyone? My name is Justin Woodward. I am the co-founder of the Mixed Media Indie Exchange, Experience Studios, and Black Voice in Gaming. Welcome to the BVIG Showcase, where talented game developers will share trailers and gameplay footage and get interviewed in the space. Once again, we have some really dope interviews with talented developers on the show. Hosting the interviews with me and advisor on Black Voices in Gaming and founder of Dames for Games, Destiny Cleveland.
Hey, thank you, Justin. That's amazing. And you guys know me. Well, if you do know me, you know I'm always busy doing something, whether it's leading Dames for Games or working with Black Voices in Gaming and other incredible organizations. But before we jump into our first interview, we'd like to give a thank you to those organizations that contribute to support us on this journey. Black Voices in Gaming has grown from an incredible showcase into a nonprofit powerhouse, all about boosting the careers of professionals in the gaming industry. Our mission is clear: to create an inclusive space where industry professionals can access funding, connect with others who share their passions, and find mentors who can help them reach their full potential. We're kicking things off in the best way possible with an amazing group of guests. But like I said, we want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. So first up is PlayStation. Thank you so much, Humble Bundle, and Raw Fury. You guys rock. You have been helping us throughout the entire time we've been doing this, and we really appreciate all of your support.
That being said, we can't forget to thank our wonderful broadcasting partners, Twitch, IGN, GameSpot, and Steam. If you want to donate to Black Voices in Gaming in order to support the broadcast, fund developer programs and their games, here's your chance. Also, we have some new dope merch for you to grab where proceeds go back into the BVIG program, scholarships, and games. Remember to follow BVIG on X at BVI Gaming and Black Voices in Gaming for your YouTube channel, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Remember to check out the BVIG event page on Steam where you can learn more about the BVIG titles, buy the available games, and add them to your wish list. Wish lists help the devs, so make sure to check it out. Now that we have said our thanks, let's get into our first interview with Charles McGregor from Tribe Games, who is also repping Strange Scaffold. What is happening, everybody? And we are back. We are with our illustrious guest, Charles McGregor. What is happening, man?
Hey, how's it going? Oh my goodness, illustrious. I don't know about that.
I gotta push it to the limits, you know what I'm saying? But you're doing a lot of things in this industry. I mean, you know, last time we spoke, you were getting ready to release Hyperdot, you know, and then right after that, you were working on Totally Reliable Delivery Service.
Yeah.
In your hometown, right?
Yeah.
So,
and we didn't actually know that each other existed until I worked on that project. Yeah. They just were just like really like low, had to be like, I'm working on Totally Reliable, and this is all we're doing. We don't go to events. We got to get this done. And then they put out a call because they needed some help. And then I was like, yeah, I'll totally do. I didn't know that you existed.
That's crazy. Like there's just like in Minnesota, it's like there's random like awesome teams that are doing cool stuff. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about your journey, because just to recap on kind of how you got into the industry and like what are the things that you started doing independently and with others.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, normally whenever I talk about my past, I talk about like I started like making video games and whatnot when I was like 8 years old. My dad was a programmer And like one day I found like a Time magazine. I think we had to do something in class for that. I found a Time magazine of like this young girl who started her own, I think it was like a bakery business of some sort. And I was like, I want to do that, but for video games. And then my dad like sat me down and taught me and my brother how to code. My brother did not like coding, so he stopped coding. And then, but I was like, yeah, no, this is what I want to do. So like from then on out, I was doing that. Funny fact is that now my brother programs and is a game developer himself. So,
oh, really?
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
No. No, man, we've worked on a couple of projects and things like that. He now works over at Future Club and working on like coding and things like that. So no, I'm super proud of him and whatnot. But yeah, in terms of like, yeah, me getting into the industry and stuff, there are a lot of school projects that did not need to be related to video games that I forced into making into video games. And where I would just like work on various like apps and like PC games and things like that. But fast forwarding a lot of years to one of those school projects, going to Hyperdot. That's where Hyperdot originally started out as a school project in a class that had nothing to do with video games. It was just like the task was to not make a PowerPoint presentation. And I was like, okay. I'll make a video game for this. Procrastinated until 4 days before I had to do the presentation. And then I made the very first prototype of Hyperdot, which at that point was called Anti-Piracy, because the project was about anti-piracy techniques in games. And like it was really bad. The idea was that the game that you made was the dot, and all of the shapes that showed up around the arena were like pirates. And then there was a hard mode and a normal mode. Normal mode was like you had some piracy protection, and then hard mode, all the pirates are out because you didn't have any, and it was really
that's
so
really cool. I know. That's really dope, because if I was wanting, like, if I was in a class and I was expecting like a PowerPoint or like an essay or something like that, but I actually got to be interactive with what you were trying to convey. Yeah. Like I love that. And my next question was going to be kind of like, where do you get your inspiration from? Because your first game was basically an assignment that you had to do. So when you're working on games yourself, like, where do you get that inspiration from?
Oh man, so many different places. Really, like a lot of the places that I get like inspiration from are either other games that I've played, games from like my childhood, or just like even like other media that I've consumed and stuff, where it's like, oh, I've watched this like movie and I'm like, oh, well, what if I did something like that? Like recently, it's not a movie, it's another game. Recently, I was playing UFO 50, and like in UFO 50, there's so many awesome ideas and like game design tricks and things that like I've seen before, but I haven't seen it in like this light. And one of the games in there called Mortal 2, like lighted a fire of like, whoa, what if I did something like similar to this? What if I like took that and then like twisted it this way and did some other thing? And like a lot of those things where I'm just like so excited about like stuff that I'm playing and whatnot, or like ideas that I've had like since I was a kid and being like, I'm gonna finally do this.
That's nice.
I still haven't done one or like a couple of those because I've been like, I got time.
Do you like, so do you, when you have these moments of inspiration, do you just start prototyping stuff? You start writing stuff down, or like, how do you kind of get that stuff out of your head and start working on it?
Depends on the game. Most of the time it's me like writing things down, just like being able to be like, I don't want to try and juggle all of this information inside of my head. So then I'll just like open up a notepad and then just like type out, oh, here's just all of the ideas that I have associated with this. I can try and filter this out later. Sometimes that works. But like, yeah, for the most part, it's a lot of me writing things down, trying to figure things out, trying to be like, okay, these are some of the ideas, these are some of the inspirations, and like trying to grab either like images or links or like songs or something like that to things like one of the games, the more recent games that I've been working on called Omnigear is inspired by like PS1 era games. And like there's a lot of things where I like look at like, oh, how does like Gran Turismo on the PS1 like look like? What do those menus look like? Oh, I guess it's not recent anymore, but Racing Lagoon, which was like a Japanese only racing RPG that came out in the PS1, has this sick soundtrack. Like it is really good. It's shockingly good.
Okay, I gotta write this down.
Yeah, I was like,
oh,
yeah,
yes,
I need
please.
to check this out.
Please go check out Racing Lagoon's soundtrack. It is like, whoa, how is this? But like some of that, I'm like, oh, I want to learn from that and try and figure out how do I incorporate that stuff. So I grab all these like different aspects and links and things to various things that are like, these are the things that like are inspiring to me. Like make a mood board of sorts and stuff like that.
It sounds like you're making a mood board to kind of get the feeling of what you want to do. I like that though.
That's super interesting. Like especially you're talking about Gran Turismo, the texture that it has, just to how like the rendering works is so synonymous with that. If you smooth it out, it loses that interesting fidelity that came naturally. That's really cool. I never really thought about that. Are we gonna ask a question, Destiny?
Oh no, I honestly forgot what
Sorry.
I started listening and I was like,
So you're working on multiple games. Like how many games do you typically work on at a time before you're like, okay, I'm maxed out?
Okay, this is too much. I have a bad habit of working on too many games at once. I think the most amount of games that I worked on at once that were like that weren't just like this is a game jam thing that I'm working on for like a weekend. I think we're like 4 or 5 different projects that I was hopping between, to the point where like anytime that I'm on a game project, it's become like very much like a meme of, it's like, oh, what game is Charles working on today? Are you going to release another game soon? A lot of that happened, which is funny because now I work at Strange Scaffold, which is also known for making a bunch of games.
Yeah. 100%. I was going to say it's good. Like it kind of goes with the territory. For really interesting. Does. Like, I mean, like folks who are very creative.
Yeah.
Like just just grinding on multiple projects and like getting inspired. I know that happens to me.
Like definitely.
We have like 3 or 4 projects in development and stuff like that. So like I totally get it. But if you're able to
go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you're able to do it, that is awesome. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're able to put pen to paper and like just start programming and doing prototyping, that's the coolest thing. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good. I think one of the things that I really enjoy about like working on a wide variety of projects / like being a generalist developer is that like if I like have either inspiration in something, I can just like, I'll just go and do this. Or like if I'm like, I've done a lot of programming today, I need to like go make some music or something like that, I can switch gears and be like, okay, now I'm inspired to do things like that.
So you make music too?
Yeah.
So you do music, you do programming. Like, okay, just give us the rundown. What are all the things that you do?
Sure. So I guess the rundown is that I'm a generalist developer. So I, for instance, for Hyperdot, I did everything. I did all the art, music, programming, design, all that stuff.
That's dope.
Thank you.
No, it really is. Not everybody can do everything and like pull it off.
Definitely. And that's one of the reasons why I started my own company, Tribe Games, which is the thing that I use to publish Hyperdot or make Hyperdot. So one of the reasons why I started Tribe Games was because this was around the time when my brother was still working on things and still trying to learn how to do like programming, but then ultimately was like, no. I was out. It was like a spite motivation because my brother and my dad, I was like, yeah, let's make some games. Let's do this. And they were like, I I work all day. I don't want to get home and do some more work. And then my brother was like, I don't like this programming stuff. And I was like, oh, but like, what if I like showed you that I can make a bunch of games, or like showed you some of the, like, if I just made a game and then maybe this will spark some interest. So there was like, I think there were 3 different projects that I started and then never finished in that time period. Of me being like, yeah, I'm trying to show you that I can do this kind of stuff. And like, it's possible. And that was one of the things that I like really want to try and communicate to like other people of like, yeah, you don't necessarily have to have everything. Like I was a kid when I first started doing all the Tribe game stuff.
With Tribe, was it called Tribe Games because it was your fam? Like, is that what?
Yeah, well, part of the reason why is because of that. Another reason that is technically is not a real reason, but became a reason is because one of my favorite hip hop groups is Tribe Called Quest.
That's like,
cool. Yeah. Okay. So I was like, yeah, I'll Tribe Games. Why not?
Right.
But yeah, no, it was one of those things where I was like, have like everybody join on the team. Never actually ended up happening because it took me from the point where I was like, I'm making Tribe Games to the point where I actually released my first fully released game and like put it on the App Store and stuff. I think that was like 6 years or 7 years
fair.
Or something like that.
You started out at like 8. So, yeah. I mean, like...
But he didn't make that game at 8, though.
I was very
like 16 now.
I was ahead of my time. That's
wait. Were you in high school? Wait, were you in high school when you worked on Hyperdot? Was that college?
That was college.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was I am a very proud 6th year senior of college. But I think I started that in my 5th year of college.
Oh,
that's when I started. It was just like, it was for a class, and I was like, you know what, I should work on this some more.
Yo, I went to college for mad years too.
Yeah, same. Got the bachelor's and then went back. So
yeah, I had the nerve to almost get my AA and leave right one class less. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
unnecessary, and then got my bachelor's.
There you go.
Now that's really interesting. I think I'm gonna start like a new company called Woo Games. Sued by the Wu-Tang. You know what I mean?
Hey, as long as they're distinctly different, you can probably skate.
Probably get away with it.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, like, if you were to kind of give some words of wisdom, like inspiration to those out there who are watching this interview and are thinking like, man, that seems like really hard. I don't know. Like, what would you say to them?
Sure. So what I would typically say is to start with like a small game idea. Or like go to a game. Actually, what I would originally say would probably be like go to a game jam. My thoughts on that have changed a bit since then, because that environment doesn't work for everybody, where it's like you have the benefits of a game jam is like, you have like a very limited amount of time. So your aspirations aren't like, I'm going to make Call of Duty in 48 hours. Mm-hmm. But like, that the pressure of that, or like, it feels like everything like, oh man, I have to do something every waking moment, or like I need to be on top of it and know what the heck I'm doing every single time. Like that kind of stuff that's not an environment that's for everybody. And whatnot. And I've definitely like seen that with people where it's just like, that's just not how everybody learns. So really what I would say is like, just start out on like a small project, like do something where you are like, oh, that seems really simple or easy or something like that. Where it's like, I'm just going to recreate tic-tac-toe, or like, I'm just going to recreate the first like true game that me and my brother attempted to make on our own was Pong. We were like, we're just gonna make Pong. Let's just learn how to make Pong. And then we got my dad and my dad's friend involved, and then we were no longer involved because they kind of took over.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Well, we got. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying like that is evidence of like you might want to make sure that you actually are doing the work, because there were a lot of like multiple hours of like, oh, okay, we got to figure out how to do all the physics and do all these like whiteboard and things, and like we slowly were like, this is not what we signed up for.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
but yeah, that's what I would say is just like start out on a small project, because it wasn't until I finished that very first game that I like fully released, and I just like got it to a point where I was like, and it's done, and I'm like releasing the game. It doesn't, though, how that like manifests for anybody can be different for everybody. It could be I released it on the App Store, or I put it out on Steam, or I put it on itch, or it could be I gave it to my parents or my friend or something like that, where it's just like,
yeah,
it's
cool.
Out of your hands.
I totally,
and like, yeah, if you do that, like that, just like it like truly opened like my eyes to like, oh, this is what it's like to finish a game. Because for like 11 years or something like that before, I would start a project, kind of get into it, and then stop, and then be like, oh wait, what about another idea? And then I start another project, and then do that whole cycle. And like it wasn't until I like fully finished that game where it was just like, oh, this is what it's like to finish a game. I understand what the process is like to do everything now, rather than this amorphous blob of like, I think this is what this is what like making a game is like.
Yeah.
And just sense. Going through that process is just, it was so eye-opening. It was like, I went from like, 11 years of starting and stopping to 2 years. I made 8 new games.
Yeah.
That's just sense. Like, man, I was like, oh, I understand now. I get it.
Yeah, for sure. That's like really good advice. All right. So I'm curious. So you did Hyperdot. You've been working on a bunch of projects, obviously like your own personal projects, and you worked on Totally Reliable. And then it kind of led you to, working it with Strange Scaffold on the new tactical TMNT game. Can you kind of describe kind of how did that come together, and like what have you been doing on the project?
Sure. Actually, this isn't, man, I keep on referencing my brother on this. My brother actually saw a posting that Xalavir made saying like, yeah, we're looking for somebody to do specifically like UI user interface stuff, and like doing some like feedback, like juice thing, game feel stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, this is exactly what I do, because I guess I've also made a name for myself as being like, hey, this guy really likes UI. This guy really likes like controller stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll put my name in the hat for that. And like, yeah, it just became like the ideal position for me of being like, yes, I'm like extremely excited about these things that you were looking for. And then I was able to join, and basically I think my official role is engineer, like one of the engineers on the team. But like, yeah, I touch so many different parts of the thing, ranging from like implementing all the UI and things, like all the menus and things like that, getting all the controller stuff. So you can play with like a controller support and things. And ideally, like, yeah, this is all extending into like things like the Steam Deck, or you can use your PlayStation controller and all that good stuff. So I do all of those things, and then I also do a little bit of like animation work in terms of like some like menu animations and like making things feel really good to like use and make sense and things like that. I work with, oh man, there's so many talented people at Strange Scaffold to be able to lean on their expertise on like some of the UX designers and UI designers and things like that. They're extremely talented.
That's dope.
That's super awesome. Yeah. So where can we find out more about you and the stuff that you're working on?
Sure. Well, I am on Blue Sky. This is actually the first time that I'm like saying, yeah, you can follow me at charlesamcgregor.com on Blue Sky. That's gotta get used to that one. But I'm on there, or you can follow me on YouTube. I also have a YouTube channel where I talk about like various game design things, or you can follow my progress on OmniGear, which is that PS1 inspired brawler that I was talking about. And you can follow me there at Darkhaze TG, TG for Tribe Games. Fun fact. Most people don't know that. Thanks.
They're gonna know now the whole history.
100%. But thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure, and it's so great to hear like your journey and the things that you're working on. You know what I mean? We got to make sure that people juice up their games.
Yeah. Oh man, I love me some juice. Actually, there's an Easter egg in Hyperdot. One of the achievements is called Didn't Know the Ledge, and that's a reference to Eric B. and Rakim.
That is so good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
We'll connect with you soon, and we will be back with some more games. Yo, Charles is so amazing, such a talented dude. It was so great having him. He is literally hilarious. I don't know what did you think about Tactical Takedown and all the stuff he's bringing to the table, Destiny?
I mean, honestly, he started out at such a young age, and like his dad got into it and his brother got into it, and like the things that he's doing, I don't know if I could be that multi-talented, but I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, I've been a huge fan. Raphael is my crush, so say less.
Yo, Donatello is my crush, you know what I mean? And Amber at the same time. So now that's yeah. It's awesome that he's working on all these games. Plus, he's working with Strange Scaffold. If you want to wish list his game, definitely check out the BVIG event page on Steam to support that game and the other ones on there. So where are we at, Destiny? What's up next?
Yo, next up is Jayan Lopez, the fearless leader behind Black Girl Gamers. You guys do not want to miss this interview. She has a lot to talk about just with the state of gaming and what she's doing. And I'm excited. Let's jump into it.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are here with the wonderful, amazingly talented Jayan Lopez of Black Girl Gamers. Jayan, thank you so much for taking some time away from your busy schedule to come chat with me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being dragged away from the busy schedule. It allows me to get some time to myself. So thank you.
Girl, I feel you. I feel you. I mean, like, you've been doing such incredible things with Black Girl Gamers. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started, what inspired you, and kind of like where Black Girl Gamers is today and where you want to see it go?
Oh, that's a big question. So where we started initially was like creating a Facebook group and the Discord and the Twitch team, and just out of the need to find other Black women who game, but also find just have a space to game safely as well, because that was and still is an issue that you find when gaming online and stuff. And then over time, becoming really vocal in the gaming industry, we started to talk about things, be it the lack of Black female characters, toxic content creators, the lack of hiring for Black women in the space. And then we also started to hold our own events so that we would, champion people who are Black women, but also people who are not Black women in gaming industry that are doing great work. So some of our earliest events were at the Victoria and Albert Museum in the UK, partnering with Belong Game Arenas to have our Pass the Pad events, and then later on doing like stuff like the Black Girl Gamers Online Summit, which we've done twice, and now World Africa Day of Play, which we did last year as well. So we just continue to create this space that we don't want to just be safe, but we also want to be progressive by providing events, education opportunities, talent brokering. So we will provide opportunities for members of our community for like working with brands. And we've done that for, God, at least 3 to 4 years now. We've put tens of thousands of dollars in people's pockets. And that's something we're super proud of, because a lot of the Black women that we work with, when it comes to giving them brand opportunities, they may not have seen that elsewhere. So that's something that we're really, really, really proud of. And then the last thing is consulting. So consulting with gaming studios that want a cultural feedback on one side on like a character or a storyline, and then the others is like helping helping companies enter the gaming industry that are not endemic to the space, and giving them kind of marketing strategies or strategies to enter the space without furthering the status quo, in terms of lack of diversity, etc. So we've done that for a while. It's been a huge journey. And it's not just myself, it's myself and the team. I always have to shout out the team because I could not do this by myself. Absolutely. It's a lot of work. It's very exhausting and it's very rewarding. But yeah, shout out to the team and the community that support us. And then over time, I think during 2020, there was a lot of shift and there was a lot of focus on, especially from brands, to work with us and stuff. So we got kind of focused on the content side of things, which is great because we created some really great content, but we're focusing now back onto more community, bringing ourselves back. I think we got a little lost in the content source. And so we're bringing it back into like community and continuing that content, but specifically focusing on community, because we just know, just in this climate right now, there's going to be a need for niche communities, going to be a need for safe spaces, there's going to be a need for places for people to unwind and game together and speak about things, and so we want to hone in on that, just reading the room when it comes to today's political climate.
No, I think that's absolutely fair. And I think the idea that you're trying to come back to your community is especially needed right now, right? And I love that like you were able to put out all this content, because that was great too. But like having a place where people can come and just feel like they can be themselves unapologetically is really important. So my next question kind of leads into that. If someone wants to be involved with Black Girl Gamers, or how do they incorporate themselves? Do they need to apply? Who do they reach out to?
So it really depends who you are. So if you're someone who wants to be a member and also wants to be involved, you can apply via the website. There's a link, the blackgirlgamers.com/verification form. I think there's a hyphen in there somewhere, but it's on the website. And you just sign up via that form, and then you get into an orientation. And once you go into an orientation, that's when you get access to the community, because obviously we ensure it's a safe space, there's no bad actors, etc. If you want to be involved, once you get into the space, then you sign up to the community participation form, and there's different ways you can be involved. There's loads of different volunteer roles in terms of like helping with our community programming, being a mod for our streams, contributing towards content, and also hosting your own workshops. You might have something that you want to share, and we just facilitate and give you the space to do that. So there's a number of ways that people can be involved. And if you're not a Black woman, or you don't identify as a Black woman or VAPFEM or non-binary, you can support in other ways. So if you work with a brand and you want to work with us, you can partner with us for any of those 5 areas I mentioned: events, consulting, education, talent, or I missed one. But anyway, events consulting, education, talent, and content. You can collaborate with any of like us on any of those elements and pillars, or you can donate. You can support. There's so many different ways in which you can work with us. The best thing is to just reach out to our email, info@theblackgirlgamers.com, and we'll take it from there and find the best way that makes you feel comfortable and us feel comfortable, essentially. So yeah.
I love that. And I wanted to touch on the fact that you mentioned allyship. Like, you don't have to be a Black woman to be supportive, to help, to join the community, to help kind of like what's the word I want to say? Build this foundation so that everybody's seen, heard, and respected. I say that a lot because I think it's really, really important.
Yeah.
Being seen, being heard, but then also being respected in those spaces. So my next question comes to like, and it's kind of me putting D4G out there a little bit because we are collaborating, and it's I think it's really important that you're able to collaborate not only with like brands but like other women and people doing positive things in the industry and in the community. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about what we've got going on. I mean, like I could talk about it, but this is about you. So I'm going to let you talk about it. And tell everybody.
I'm happy to talk about it. So we are Black Girl Gamers is partnering with Dame for Games and Women Led Games to hold a game jam on the 28th to the 31st of March. So it's a weekend-long game jam, and we're allowing specifically for people who identify as women or femme to submit their ideas. And they submit, a game jam, a game that they've come up with over the weekend via itch.io. You sign up via the form, and we are putting together a cash prize for the best creative project. Remind me of the theme, Destiny.
So the theme is the muse in you. So you're taking the inspiration within yourself and using gaming as basically the jump off start to tell your story. And I think that's really important because the whole idea of Black voices in gaming is to be able to create our own stories and share those because you don't see them often enough, right? That's the reason why we have Black voices in gaming. So it's a way to celebrate your individuality and share kind of like your experience, what you're going through, and what you want to see in the world. So if you don't see yourself out there, this is the opportunity to put yourself out there so people can see it. So that was kind of how I felt about what we were doing and why we were doing it. And I don't know, do you feel the same way? I feel like that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's the same. Like for me, it's great to see. I think for me, I really want to see focus on women as well. I think now in the game industry, we're seeing a much more higher focus on women as protagonists, which is great. And I don't see why we can't continue that trend, because we're always going to have male protagonists, and I have no issue with male protagonists. Some of my favorite game characters are male protagonists, but I think that balance needs to be struck. And so giving people the opportunity to create things about themselves, I think it's just a beautiful thing, and you never know what kind of stories you get out. And that's the thing that fascinates me about gaming the most is this is a space for imagination. This is a space for creativity. We shouldn't be, excuse me. This is a place for imagination. This is a space for creativity. We shouldn't be boxed into what the norm is. We shouldn't be boxed into seeing the same type of faces all the time or seeing the same gender all the time. This should be a space for variety. This should be space for exploration. So I'm really excited to see what comes of this. And I think we just put out the 2 community teasers today as well. So that's great.
We did. We just put it out to the community. I know my community was pretty excited. I was surprised at how excited they were, because like we have game developers, but we also just have people who are there because they love gaming and they love what we're doing. So that was really dope to see. Okay, so my next question, because I want to know kind of like where you would like to see Black girl gamers in the future. I know for me, the reason why I asked this question is because I get asked this question sometimes, and my answer is going to sound really weird, but I would like there to be a point where you don't actually need a Dames for Games because it's now the norm, right? And people are like, well, like then you would be without a job. And I was like, yeah, but that would be okay, because then I would just, like I think that's what we're all fighting for, is to have it not be the exception and be the norm, so we don't have to have these jobs. So what about you with Black girl gamers? What is your like ultimate goal?
So I'm similar. Not the same, but similar. I think I don't mind people aggregating as per their culture. I think that's normal. That's why people have culture. That's a normal thing. If you're a Black woman, and that's just a very umbrella term. You could be a Jamaican woman, you can be an African American woman, you can be from all different places, and people aggregate via their culture. So that's fine. I think the need for a safe space is what needs to be eradicated. And I think that's the key thing, where I wouldn't have to be so pressured to keep things so safe because of the external behavior. So I think that's where I would like to just like make that obsolete, where anyone can jump on and game, and this is, you know, we're battling human nature, so that's not always going to be the case. Some people are going to be mean, but I think where the culture isn't still so scared to call it out, and where the culture isn't so scared to hold people accountable for their behavior, their toxic, racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic behavior, where the culture is more so encouraging safety and collaboration and more kindness, that I would want to happen. Because I don't mind that there are communities that aggregate around their own cultures, but I think why they need to have a safe space is the problem. And that's something that I feel like gaming companies, not just the grassroots ones, but the major ones, should be focusing on more and should be talking about more. It's like a big thing that they just, yeah, we know it happens. It's part of no, it's not part of gaming. Don't encourage that shit. Ooh. So, I didn't mean to swear.
Hey, real talk.
I don't mean to swear. But don't encourage that. Yeah.
Right.
Like that is not something that I think we should bear the brunt of dealing with as the norm, and everyone else gets to go happy, go lucky and free and just have a version of the gaming industry that technically does not exist. You know, it's a fantasy. You live in a different world. I think gaming companies, if you're going to market, you should market the values you want your players to have, especially on games that have team speak or game chat, team chat, or have some kind of interaction between players. Because if you don't hold this behavior accountable, you're now facilitating it. And also, like, when gaming companies encourage or work with gaming creators, have you double checked who they are? Because I know for a fact I played a game that included a content creator who's been toxic towards my community and towards our company, and also towards the plight in Palestine and Israel. And like, why are you not checking who you're putting in your games? And that all feeds into this culture of allowing some really toxic, harmful behaviors. And most of the time, some of these gaming creators don't even have the grasp on critical race theory or the world enough to be speaking on what they're speaking on. So I want that to change.
And that's absolutely fair. I think, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we all kind of want that, especially if we're like marginalized voices. Like, we want to be able to not have to feel like we need to create protected spaces. I remember, this is going to date me, but I remember when like gamer wasn't a thing. Like, you just played games, or you would go to your friend's house and you would play games, and there wasn't like this huge like console war and all of that kind of, you just played games. And I would love to get back to that point, like loving gaming just for the sake of loving gaming. But before we end, I wanted to end on a super positive note. I wanted you to tell us a little bit about like some of your big wins that you've had throughout the years that you're just super proud of. I know you mentioned a couple of them, but like, just to be more specific, because I want little girls and other people who watch this interview to be like, oh my God, she can do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
So like that representation. Yeah.
Of course. So some of the big wins. Oh gosh. I count everything that we do as a big win, to be honest, because we are grassroots, bootstrapped company. Like, we haven't had any funding. Everything's been from the ground up. In terms of big wins that I would count is especially like our talent stuff. So this putting money in Black women's pockets, especially like Black women content creators, that's been a huge thing that I've enjoyed over the years. I do think it was spurred on by 2020. So it's been interesting to see how that's changed in the recent times. But really, really proud of the work that we did work with Google, Samsung, Captain Morgan, Anastasia Beverly Hills, Benefit Cosmetics, like so much work, and put in not just product, because I don't judge things on product. I think I judge things by cash. Have you got cash that can help you pay your bills at the end of the month? So putting money in Black women's pockets, that's been amazing. Other things like our Black Girl Gamers Online Summit, having really great conversations, championing people, and being able to pay people for their time. I think that's really important for certain things. Like, as a grassroots company, that is not easy. And I think people forget that you as a bootstrap company, make all the money that you spend. And so being able to do that for some of our speakers throughout the years has been great. That's something that I'm just proud of. Other things that we've done are workshops, mentorship programs with Meta back in the day. And that was something that I was really proud of because we got a lot of members of our community paired up with leaders in the company to do stuff. And then our consulting, we've consulted on at least 3 games now. Some of them are under NDA, so we can't say. But I'm really proud of that because not only do we as a company get to consult, but our members get to take that opportunity and that experience and put that on their CV, their curriculum, or their resume, whatever they're going out into the world with. So I'm really proud of kind of all the work we did. We have this game show on our YouTube channel called Play or Pass, which was something that I came up with years ago, and it's developed over time. And members of our community that have been talent within that show have gone on to do some great things, gone on to get some sponsored deals and stuff. So every little thing, we just like to put things out there so that people can use that as a stepping stone to go and build their own careers and their own trajectory in the space, however they want to do it, whether it's having the journalism workshop or the voice acting workshop that we've done in the past to doing our coding, our game development with no coding with Anything World. So many different things. There's so much for me to mention, but I really enjoy what we do.
No, and I'm glad that you mentioned some of them because I didn't know about all of that. So I'm sure there are other people who didn't know about all of that. And the fact that you're continuing to work in those spaces and champion Black women is so, so important because we need our champions, right? And I know we champion ourselves, but again, like it's really great to have those allies that you mentioned before, those brands that have been sticking with you and your team. And I get it just from working with D4D, being able to pay your people for the amount of work that they do is amazing, especially when those people really believe in the mission, like you want to give back to them. And
yeah,
so,
exactly.
I'm proud of you. I'm super
Thank
proud
you. I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
Round
Give
up.
each other our flowers. But
Literally.
if people wanted to find out more about you, more about what you've got going on, other than going to the Black Girl Gamers website, where can they find out about what Jayanne is doing?
Oh, me personally. Okay. So my social media, Jayanne, JAYANNLOPEZ or Z, wherever you're from, _. That's, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok. Don't really use TikTok that much, but Instagram is my main platform. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I have a Substack called Beauty in the Game where I write about the intersection between beauty, gaming, and fashion. Yeah, just pretty much around the interwebs. That's pretty much me. But
you guys got to check out her Instagram. Like, no, I'm serious. Like, she be posing, y'all. She be working the camera.
I do have a bit of fashion envy.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I used to do that before Black Girl Gamers. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I used to have another platform called Culture, which was before Black Girl Gamers, a year before, and I took the skills from that and decided to use it for BGG. So.
Well, it's really grown into something incredible.
Thank
Jayanne,
you.
Thank you so much for spending time to talk about Black Girl Gamers, give some insight on your perspective on where you want things to go. And I'm sure we will hear more from Jayanne in the future. This is not going to be the last time that she's on the show. And yeah, so stay tuned. We have a couple of more interviews coming up. Jayanne, I'm going to let you say bye, and I'm going to say bye, and then we'll catch up with you guys in a bit.
Thank you. Bye.
And we're back. Listen, that interview with Jayanne was so incredible. I love being able to just vibe with other women in the gaming space. And she's done some incredible things, like from her brands, the partnerships she's done. And Justin, I know that you've known Jayanne for a while. So like, I'm gonna let you speak on how inspiring you think she is too as an entrepreneur.
Yo, her lip gloss was popping, so I gotta set my CarMax game to the next level. No, Jayanne is amazing. She's an amazing entrepreneurial spirit, has a bunch of things going on in her life, and she's been helping so many people, built a platform I definitely want to collaborate with her more. I mean, she's just amazing.
She's killing it. She's killing it.
She's making things happen. Definitely follow her for sure. Black Girl Gamers, and also follow us, BVIG on X at BVI Gaming, and everywhere else at Black Voices in Gaming. Our Blue Sky is popping right now, YouTube channel and all that. Where are we going next?
So we've had a couple of interviews and we want to give y'all a little bit of a break because we know you want to see some incredible games. So stay tuned, because up next we have a dope collage of trailers that you do not want to miss.
For Queen and Country. Well, are you sure about that?
Storms, treasures to find, with courage and fortune in every kind. We'll seek the depths where secrets reside, from dawn's first light to the evening tide. With peril and wonder, we'll chart the unknown, with sunken storms as our hearts cornerstone. In the sea, Shanty's tale will forever confide, from the misty dawn till the evening tide. Sunken storms, sunken storms, sunken storms, sunken storms.
Huh? Yalla, Habibi. Let's get swapping.
Spirit swap. Lo-fi beats to match 3-2.
Yo, guys, welcome back. I hope you were as excited and got as hyped as I did watching all of those incredible trailers. I love being able to see what Black developers are creating, and I love that we have a platform where they can share their stories and share all of their hard work with our community and others. Speaking of incredibly talented industry professionals, Justin and I were lucky enough to go to DICE, where we got to mingle and speak with a lot of people who are making these games today. Justin, tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Yo. I love the intro. We partner with Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences, AIAS, for DICE. This year, this is our this is our third year partnering with DICE and Amazon with the scholarship where we paid for 10 professionals to get access to DICE, which is an amazing event where folks can communicate with executives, do business, and then learn. I was going to say socialize, but learn how to network among all these folks.
I mean, you're right. You do get to socialize there, right? They have round tables. They have like the speed dating thing. So like, that's totally fair. I mean, like, it's not all work. There's definitely some play. It is Vegas after all.
It is Vegas, yeah. No, it was amazing. And it's great to have those partnerships and be able to be supported to fund these programs. We're also doing a GDC scholarship again this year, where donations will go towards developers who can't afford to make it to GDC for their hotels and flights, and we're working with GDC for a full opportunity to get tickets and all of those kind of things. So definitely support BVIG for those kind of scholarships. We also ran an accelerator with Netflix last year. We have another accelerator coming up, and we are going to be announcing a fund where we're going to help fund games from independent entrepreneurs and game developers.
We got some big things coming up. Big
things.
Big things. But before we get too into everything that we're going to be doing, we definitely want to make sure that you guys keep up with us on all of our socials. So make sure you check out what we're doing. And if you're a developer and you're interested in applying for the scholarship or applying for any of these other programs, check out our website. Stay tuned because we're always updating our socials with all that information. But we do have some more guests to talk to who are doing incredible things. Justin, who's up next?
We got Afro Gundam coming up next. It's like a secret. Who is Afro Gundam?
Who
what is he doing in Brooklyn? Oh. And we are back. We have another special guest hailing from Brook Nam. I'm just kidding. He's straight out. I was about to say straight out the streets of Brook. Like, it's not even that serious though. My hip hop head is just going wild. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Matthew Hamilton Rue, also Afro Gundam, which is like a dope name.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate
Gundam. But yeah, I mean, you're working on a game called Big Boss right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
So, like you said, I'm from Brooklyn, right? And you know, every day as a kid, you know, growing up, play classic PS2 titles, you know, Shadow of the Colossus, NBA Street, etc., etc. So every day when I was growing up, I was always wanted to make my own game, and that kind of just led into the release of my first game after college, which is called Radar Gym. That's like a top-down shooter based on my love of like top-down shooters, like Raiden and other games like that. But this game kind of takes a reverse perspective on Shadow of the Colossus in a way, where you play as the boss and like heroes try and come and defeat you, and you know you using your powers to defeat them and trying to essentially destroy the world. That's the idea. It's to kind of like be your most evil self.
That's dope.
Wow.
When did you get started, like as a game developer?
I got started right before the pandemic, around 2019. Like even though I went to college for animation, it kind of only just spiraled from there, and I just kind of like fell in love with it right before the pandemic. So the pandemic gave me the perfect time to actually go full into development, you know. So I've just kind of been grinding from there.
I'm curious. I'm sorry, Justin, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just saying that's cool.
Okay. I'm curious because you said that you went in for animation, but then you eventually switched over to gaming. What inspired you to go into animation? And do you use any of those things that you learned about animation in creating your games?
Oh, of course. So one of the best books on animation, I use it to this day. It's called the Animation Survivor's Kit.
Yeah, I have that.
And it is I use it every day. I swear to God, and it's a key to essentially just making a good animation in anything. It could be for TV, it could be for shows, it could be for games. It doesn't matter. But when it comes to actually using my animation stuff in games, I would have to say I use it pretty much every day. Like even though I'm one of the many, I shouldn't say many, one of a few developers on Big Boss. I am the only animator currently. So I essentially use everything that I've learned in college for animation, or for the animation for the games. And as for how I got from animation in college to games, I would have to say that's just been like a downward spiral of a bad a bad reel, an inexperienced person trying to get their foot in the door in the animation industry. It's just not easy. And that kind of just led me to, kind of forge my own path in a way.
That's really cool.
I like to call those happy accidents because like you seem very excited and very happy with where you are right now, right? So maybe it was just a different way to get to where you are now. So that's dope though. I love that. I went to school for animation too. That's how I met Justin. And Justin, you were in game design and I was in animation. So when you mentioned that book, it brought back a lot of memories. It's been around for a while.
Yeah, I had to take animation, and that was the book that came with our welcome kit.
Yeah.
Big, huge.
Huge.
For good reason, too.
Yeah, the big portfolio bag. And it was like, no one, I thought, you could tell the freshmen, because they're carrying this huge bag with like protractors and shit. And then, like, no one ever used
Nobody ever used the bag.
Like, but that animation, that animation book was in the bag, and I was about to pull it out, but
mine's in my room. I still got it.
I still have that, and the anatomy book. You know what I mean?
Yes, I have my anatomy book too.
Oh,
that's it's really cool because you're starting out. This is like your 6th year in development. Like I can't math.
6 year development.
Yeah, but so it's really interesting to hear your fresh take on how you forged a path, because everyone has their own story on that.
For sure.
But like, so when you first started development, tell us a little bit about how you got locked into Gumbo, because I'm cool. Sam is there. There's like, I love just the scene. When I was going for the Shopify pop-up and stuff, limited run.
Oh yeah. That's right.
And that was my first time visiting. It was really, really dope. How did you get like involved in that community?
So in New York, we had this small, it's not small anymore, but we had this small convention called Play NYC. And every Play NYC, Gumbo would have like a small section of booths that just were designated as Gumbo booths, right? Now, at the time of let's say 2019, 2020, I thought Gumbo was a whole piece of trash. I thought Gumbo was, I thought they were fake. I thought they were bullshitting. Sorry.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I thought they were fake. I thought they were, because this is coming from someone with my mother's in business development and whatnot. So a lot of the times just to understand who your competitors are and where they are and how they move, right? So during this time of starting a business in 2019, 2020, I see Gumbo and I see what they're doing, and I'm like, that's the enemy. Why am I going to consort with the enemy? But after a little while, after I get into the game development scene a little bit, after I release my first game, I start coming to the Gumbo space. I start going to the playtest nights. I start actually participating in what's going on here, and now I'm one of its biggest advocates because it really is even though we are all technically competitors, it's all tides rise sinking ships. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of the community helping each other out, the community essentially holding each other down for booth spots at Play NYC, which is now the Javits Center at Anime NYC. It's a lot of things has changed, especially in the New York game development industry, and it's kind of good to have a social net with the other game developers in New York City.
That's good. It's good to be leery. It is, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're automatically going to be competitive anyway. So my mindset is always that. Yo, get out of my territory. I'm always Destiny could tell because I'm I'll snap on something quick and then I'll have to backpedal and be like, oh, my bad. You know what I mean? So it is good to be leery because there are some fraudulent folks out there. It is good there's not that many that are super legit. And I found that, after knowing some of the folks, I was immediately, this is legit. You know what I mean? Just because I've worked with some of you.
It's guys. So funny. It took me so long for me to actually cross over into Gumbo's actually pretty okay, or that Gumbo is legit, quote unquote. Because I believe Sam's game, Zarvot, actually has a shirt in like a Suda 51 game. Like it's like a cosmetic in a Suda 51 game. And then like my friend just bought Kung Fu Kickball, Jonah's game, like out of nowhere. Just like, oh yeah, it was a cool game I thought on Steam. I'm just like, okay, maybe those Gumbo Cats, you know, maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe they got a good idea.
Yeah, we had Zarvot at Evo, and then we had Kung Fu Kickball at another Evo. So that's where I got to hang out with Sam and stuff and Noah. That's dope. So then how did, you know, you got started working through what is it called? On your own game, right? How has that progressed? Your understanding development and like how have the influences of things that you liked influenced what you're working on now?
So the things that influence now, I would say, I mean, there's a lot of things that influence the decisions made that you can make in Big Boss, right? Because not only are you the boss at the end of a dungeon, you're also the boss at the head of a company. So there's a lot of like different management sims that you can do within Big Boss, such as like hiring minions and extorting royalty and other quote unquote simulation kind of experiences that only like a real evil person would get into, right? Currently, I'm working on a PR department that works on getting your word out there to the world of the living so that you can essentially get more heroes to come kill you, right? So when I would say influences, that would be something more along the lines of like Final Fantasy Tactics. I know in David Diamond Final Fantasy Tactics, you would have little minions or like employees or just people that you can work with, and just send them on dispatch missions and like have them go do things elsewhere, and then they kind of just bring them back to you. Mm-hmm. But as for like having actually like the boss gameplay, like the day-to-day gameplay of Big Boss, of like fighting the heroes, it stems from Super Smash Brothers, but it's not necessarily wholeheartedly inspired by Super Smash Brothers. It's kind of like a weird mix of Mega Man Zero, or is it Zero? Mega Man Z, the one where you get to play as Zero.
Yeah, Mega.
Yeah, and essentially just like, what if like a boss from like a Mega Man game was just like you could play as? So that's kind of like a whole bunch of different influences.
That's pretty dope though, because it kind of shows your depth of understanding of different genres and different gameplays, and you're kind of bringing it all together. And I love that about the indie scene, because we're able to take things and create our own stories with it, like you're doing now. So hearing everything that inspires a developer in their game, I like picking up on those things or learning about them early. So when I play the game, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where like he picked up on Mega Man here and where he picked up on Smash Bros. There. Like that's always really cool.
What is some of the like? Because I mentioned it mentioned like on the site and some of the material that you've been sharing that the fighting game, there's a lot of fighting game aspects. I know you mentioned Smash, but are there other influences there too?
Smash, Guilty Gear. I mean, like, I do like a lot of like other like weirder esoteric fighting games. Well, I shouldn't say esoteric, more or less like older. So one of my favorite fighting games is Capcom vs. SNK 2. And while that doesn't necessarily have any direct influence in the game currently, there will be stuff later on that will be directly influenced by that.
Yeah, like what? You gotta
tell me.
Leaving us hanging.
Right, so the heroes that fight you, right? Like you saw it. It's only really like general fantasy settings, right? You have a wizard, you have a shieldsman, you have a swords guy, you got a cleric, right? And then like later on down the line, you're gonna get different kinds of heroes. Other heroes are gonna be like Mega Man, but not actually Mega Man, like legally distinct, not Mega Man, and then legally distinct, not Ryu.
I gotta
legally distinct, not Shovel Knight, or not Shovel Knight. I mean, hey, Yaklo, what's up? But you know what I mean? Like, just keep parodizing different kind of people and heroes and stuff, and kind of have that as like legendary heroes, as like big boss fights for the boss to actually fight. So, kind of creates like a different stage and a different turn on reality in a way.
That's dope. The fact that you have like so many different characters coming in, have you thought about collaborating with other indie developers? Because I know earlier we talked a little bit about, yeah, okay. Because I was like, I know we talked a little bit about like, you know, that competitiveness, but like also being able to be like, hey, I really admire your style. How about we put an Easter egg, or how about we bring your character into my game? So I love that you're willing to do that, because it sounds like you have the perfect type of game to make that happen seamlessly.
Yeah, I admittedly, I have like a wish list about like 30 characters long of stuff that I want to put in the big boss. I'm sure that that's not even as many as I really actually want. That's just what I sat down to type.
Just I was thinking of Super Combo Man. I was thinking about that.
That's funny. Yeah, it's totally possible. You know what I mean? If people dig your work, they're like, oh yeah, it happens a lot. You got to like kind of go into other categories and dig deep, in my opinion, because all of the like generic indie titles have been used so many times in these kind of crossover things. But it's
yeah.
So can you describe like what has it been like developing the game? Has it been challenging? Like what kind of things have you like encountered when starting your
It certainly has been challenging, I'd have to say. Like it's fun in a way that like it's hard to explain, because it's challenging and fun. It's a fun kind of challenge, right? You have all of these different problems essentially that you have to solve, right? You have I'm trying to do like the animation and a lot of the coding. I have another friend also helping me on code, and I also have a composer that's helping me with music. And just trying to coordinate everything is a challenge in and of itself. But like when everything works together and like builds up into something that just like is tangible almost, it feels unreal, I have to say. It's like it's its own kind of like dopamine.
That's funny. How many people are on your team?
I'm gonna say 3 for now. 3.
How did you guys meet? Like, how did you meet your teammates? Like, how did that all come out to play?
Me and my composer, his name is Victor Grand, and he is great. I met them, I want to say, during a game jam, actually. We did a game jam, I want to say 2018. No, it was 2020. Yeah. Me and Victor did a game jam around 2020, and they're just like one of the best composers, especially for the style that I want to go with, like this chiptune, orchestral kind of style. And I just kind of let him do whatever he feels like, and it works great for both of us because he has a good creative outlet, and then I get like some of a great soundtrack. So it's kind of like a win-win in a way. And then I met my programmer friend of mine, PJ, through actually a different collective called ComShip. It's a whole bunch of ex-Avalanche devs and from New York City and whatnot. But PJ and I collaborated on his game, Sword Car. So I made like some of the bosses in Sword Car, and then some of the characters and whatnot, using my animation and 3D skills and whatnot. And then in exchange, he would help me with programming. So it's kind of just like I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back kind of situation.
Right. That's dope, though.
Cool. Yeah. I haven't heard of that game, Sword Car.
You should look it up.
Yeah.
You should look it up.
I'm going to make a gun price if you. That's really
He's
cool.
another brother from Philly, too. So it's like,
okay.
I know he's super celebrating right
now. Oh, okay. Wait, are you from Philly?
No, I'm from Brooklyn. Man.
Okay, I could tell. You said another dev from.
I mean, because he's a brother. He's a brother.
Oh, okay, I got it. yeah.
He's another brother.
Yeah, the Brooklyn's coming out for real. No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's really interesting to see, to talk to folks from New York, because most of the time, we're talking to folks from, out here in the West Coast, Seattle and LA and San Francisco. So it's cool that it's popping off in New York, and hopefully it gets, it keeps growing, because you're just getting another perspective, of story and narrative narrative storytelling and stuff like that. So yeah, y'all just keep doing your thing, for sure.
That's the great thing about the New York scene is that it's all indie practically. Like there's Rockstar, and there's pretty much nobody else.
Yeah, and you've seen like folks also move from there to Chicago or other places because they're having a little bit of more difficult time finding folks. I mean, we were, I grew up in San Diego, and I went to, the game development program that I was in San Diego, and it was only AAA companies in San Diego, and so I didn't have a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. I didn't feel that, so I was like, I had to go to the Bay when the opportunity rose. So yeah, it's really interesting. Tell everybody where to find out more about your game, and it's going to come out.
You can always just go to the website www.hamra.digital, HAMRA.digital, and you can follow me Afro Gundam on both Instagram and then at Hamra.digital on Blue Sky.
He you try not to say.
I do remember the Blue Sky. I was about to say Twitter, but I'm like, I don't use that shit no more.
Everyone's filtering themselves. I was right now. It's like
if you look at my at AfroGundam.Twitter, it is nothing but just like political shit. I don't touch it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
for
fair.
sure. No, that was really funny. I was about to jump on you. Is he gonna say it? Nah, he's gonna jump on that.
I'm pretty sure, and like that's the hardest thing about remembering the Blue Sky at, because it's like I have to remember the whole like at address instead of just the username.
I hope they change that to make it more like, that'd be great.
BSKY.
Yeah, BSKY. But I think a lot of people, it's super random. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop. I was just going to say Blue Sky is popping off, and there are a lot of indie developers over there now. There's a lot of just creative folks there.
Yeah, it's great that we're getting back together, not as much nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us, Matthew. Definitely.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. We should connect more, talk more, for sure.
Absolutely. It's always so inspiring to hear young individuals who are coming into this space, creating and doing the work that they need to do to make their dreams come true. And I think that's what's so special about BVIG is that we're helping to curate some of these spaces for them. We're creating a platform for them to share their stories and their games. And it's just, I don't know, it's just really inspiring. So Matthew, keep doing what you're doing. And for all of those other developers out there who might feel a little scared, who might be suffering from imposter syndrome, just do it. Just take the first steps and everything else will fall into place.
Yes, make that happen for sure. And if you want to support BVIG Gaming, there's all kinds of different ways. But one of the ways is we do have a new merch page. We got some awesome t-shirts, hoodies, hats with the new logo. We got some that are gold. You know what I'm saying? It's awesome stuff, high quality, and also all of our cool characters. We're going to put those into play later. What is up next, Destiny?
So we have our last interview, which I'm always sad because, I always have such a good time with you and all of our guests. But this dude is pretty incredible. How many people can say that they've had a major AAA studio call them without them even applying, just because they've heard how good you were? Well, that is the story of Jari De Jesus, and he's going to tell us all about it and his journey and what he's working on now. So sit back and relax and check out this next interview.
And we are back with Jari De Jesus. See, I even had to slow it down because I didn't want to mess it up. I'm really bad with people's names, and I always get in trouble for that. So, but yeah, we're gonna say something.
No, I was just laughing.
Yeah, I mean, Destiny will tell you. I always butcher stuff, and I'm trying not to.
He's trying to doing better. He's doing.
She's making me a better person, you know. But Jirori, I mean, you've been in the business for a while in the game industry as a narrative designer. Yeah, I mean, you have a crazy resume, by the way.
Oh my God, thank you.
Narrative design, game programmer. You're a developer as well. You've worked at AAA companies independently. You do talks. Like it's pretty impressive what you've done, and you're like 18.
Yeah.
Bro, don't let this shade face fool you. I'm 33, man.
What? You're 30? Okay. Yeah. I don't want to say it, but black don't crack. You know what I'm saying?
You don't want to say it, but I'm saying
light skinned black don't crack either. You know what I mean?
I got it on both sides because I got the Taino jeans on one half and the black jeans on the other half. So I'm just like, I don't age, man.
You're set.
Yeah. So can you basically go through your journey as a developer and
sure.
kind of the things that you've done as a narrative designer?
Yeah. So I'm back up before I was even a developer, man. I was like doing anthropology. And I went for a PhD at SUNY Binghamton, and I fucking hated it. I was so bad. I hated academia with a passion. So I dropped out, was like trying to figure out what to do with my life. And I think this is like right at the height of social media booming and people making social media companies. I was like, coding, that's where the money's going to be at. So I learned to code, accidentally built a game without realizing it was a game at the time. And I was like, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. So I went back, got my master's in game development. From there, it was rough when I got out for the first like 6 months. Couldn't find work. And then I got a phone call from EA. And they're like, hey, do you want to work on the narrative team for Madden? And it's like 8 a.m. I'm not a morning person, right? So I'm very tired.
Oh, wait, they just called you out of the blue?
I'm going to get to that. But I was like,
I
wait, Madden has a story mode? I'm so tired. I should not have got the job, but I did. And I asked them why they called me, and they said, well, so EA Tiburon in Orlando has a very close relationship with the university I went to, the UCF FIA program. And they had asked the professor there for like their top 3 tech designers, and I guess my name was one of them.
That's dope.
So they called and interviewed me, and that was my first industry job. After that, I did some casino game coding for a bit. That was soul crushing. Oh man!
I was about to say, how do you feel about
that? But then the pandemic hit. They laid me off, and I got the job at Scopely working on Marvel Strike Force, which was pretty fun for about a year. After that, I could only do 6-week turnarounds for so long before it starts burning you out. So I moved over to Star Wars.
I played a lot of that game.
Yeah.
By the way.
So I did Moon Knight. I did Iceman. I did some work on Jubilee. I did work on Silver Surfer. Missing one other one. He's on. Oh, Multiple Man. That was the one I had a lot of fun doing.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that is. Yeah, I played a lot of that game. I think probably put 60 hours into that game.
So we get to name all the passes, right, and on all the abilities, and I really pushed for Multiple Man, whose real name is Jamie Madrox, for his passive ability called Madrox the Gathering, and that got shut down so hard.
Hilarious. That's funny.
It just got a nice ring to it, though.
Right? I'm always putting bad puns in games. I tried to get on Madden 20 when they did the college teams. The University of Florida was one of them, and we had to come up with fake names because we couldn't use real player names. So I tried to get last name Man, first name F. So I have a literal Florida man there, and they did not like that because EA has no sense of humor.
Oh.
It'd be funny if you like snuck in the Jordan Key and Peele skit names. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, good. Yeah, after Marvel, I ended up at Respawn, so another EA studio, but this one lot more flexibility, a lot more fun to work at. I really loved working on Star Wars. I've been a Star Wars nerd since I was like knee high. I read all the EU books. I actually designed my own Star Wars card game at like 10 years old.
Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah. There was like the cereal boxes that had the characters, and we cut them out and then made little cards out of them. Yeah, so I've been a Star Wars fan for a long time. So that was a childhood dream come true, getting to work on that project. And then I moved on from there when we finished. I wanted to get out of the country for a bit, so I got a job at Housemarque in Finland. That was pretty dope for about the first half of my time there, and then drama happened. Is the best way I could put it. A lot of three of the senior directors left, and so when three directors leave a company, it's not really a good look. Things change. People ended up in positions that I'm not sure they deserved, kind of thing, and there was some drama with me, and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. So I came back, started my own company, and that's what I'm doing now.
That's dope. That's quite a lot. But I love the fact that like you're not a morning person and you got that call in the morning and you were just kind of like, what? Like, and then you ended up working for EA. Like, I don't know how many people can say like, yeah, EA called me and they wanted me to work. And like your first thing is like, I'm not a morning person. Why are you calling me at 8 a.m.? But I love that.
Are you still are you in Florida now?
No, I'm in San Francisco at the moment. South San Francisco to be exact.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we should connect. I'm in
Berkeley.
You're in the
Yeah, okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But I moved to San Francisco. So my company's based in California now. There's I've had this project that I've wanted to make for a long time. So now I have my own company and actually can make it. The hard part is, of course, finding funding, but I've always wanted to do this hip hop RPG that I've been like working on over the years.
That's amazing.
I'm excited, especially because you really love narrative design. I'm totally interested in hearing kind of like more about that and kind of your inspiration behind.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as a hip hop head. I've been a DJ. I actually used to write a lot of slam poetry and raps and things like that. So you can find some of them on YouTube. Go look them up. Yeah.
We're gonna intersperse them right here. We're gonna cut this interview and play your right. Memes, YouTube meme style. We're gonna put.
Oh my god! But yeah, no, I did a lot of poetry and hip hop throughout the course of my life, especially when I was younger. I actually have like a bunch of beats. I tried to scam Spotify once by like making 30, because I learned their algorithm pays at over 30 seconds. So I made a bunch of 31, 32 second long instrumentals and just played them on loop. And then Spotify emailed me, like, you can't do that, guy.
That's hilarious. You see, I have the MPC right here. SE. That's dope. So what kind of music inspires you?
I grew up with a lot of Tupac. He was a huge inspiration. And I mean, the name of the game is Concrete Rose. It comes from the poem that he wrote of similar title.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rose that grew from the concrete.
Exactly. Yeah. That book, no joke, is a lifesaver. Give that to like a depressed teenager, and it changed the course of my life forever. So, I think I think the power of hip hop can be world changing when it's channeled correctly. And my goal is to bring that into a story. And what I wanted to do with the hip hop RPG is explicitly not make a rhythm game, because that's like the low hanging fruit, right? You like hip hop, it's music, but it's more than music. It's a culture, right? You've got fashion, you've got dancing, you've got graffiti, you got a lot of components that make up hip hop. So my game focuses on a DJ, and I wanted to channel that like feeling I got playing Chrono Trigger.
Ooh, okay.
Like there's a lot of weird things in Chrono Trigger that just are weird for the sake of being weird, and like, why is there a talking frog? Who cares? It's part of the game. And I wanted to channel that feeling. So you play as a DJ who fights an alien parasite. That's kind of the premise of the game.
Okay,
that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. I can't wait for you to like get your demo out there, because I want to try it out. I want to see what you do. I know it takes time, but I'm excited. Like
we have a small proto. It's not really where I want it to be. And we're me and the team, we're doing this like for free until we get funding. So that's been the biggest challenge, is like getting funding.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about that. We may be able to help with that, or
say less.
Because Justin raps too. Like Justin raps and makes beats. He used to rap in college when we were together.
Yeah, all the time. And they were. It was I went to a game college. I was in the game program.
Okay.
And I used to clown the things that happened in school and like the different
Would you
cliques.
make diss tracks for your college
Making
peers?
diss tracks,
That's
absolutely.
Yeah, it was pretty. They're ridiculous. Like,
Oh, that's
I
so
don't even
good.
know if they fly. They would not fly this. Like,
No, not today. but
Different time, different folks.
Different
very,
time.
very
yeah.
different time.
Yeah.
But art
No,
school
that's-
has so many different random people in it. Like whenever you go to art school, there's just like so many characters there. Like, yeah, since
Your
you guys
schools
live
are the
close to
same.
each other. Yeah. Since you guys live close together, just saying you should let them hear some. Hear some.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, one of the things about hip hop that I love though is it's a universal language, right? Like it's one of those things where like if you listen to hip hop and I listen to hip hop, there's always something we could find that we get along with. Even if like you're coming from the deep south and I'm coming from, I grew up in New York City, so like we're coming from different flavors of it, but like there's something we can find that connects us. And I like that's why I want to make this game, because it's my love letter to the art form.
Oh, I love that.
That's cool. So how long have you been working on the game?
Actively about a little under a year. In my head, probably about 5 years.
Gotcha. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. I have characters that are inspired by real hip hop artists. So there's a samurai character inspired by Lupe, a martial
love
artist inspired by Kendrick, things like that.
That's cool. I mean, Lupe is so underrated.
He
That
really
last-
is.
That last album was actually
fire.
pretty dope. I was like walking around Japan listening
Listening
to
to
that.
it.
And every time I go to Japan, there's like 2 albums that I just will put on repeat, and it was that one, and it was the Death of Slim Shady. Those two that were out this past summer. Now that's really interesting. That's cool. So as you're developing the game, are you also with your company, are you doing like work for hire, or like
So I'm contracting out my own labor right now through the company. So I'm working with another studio named Lunacy, and they're developing I'm trying to remember what I could say off NDA. A story about how to cope with grief through an Islamic scholarly lens, and I am working as their lead narrative person. I'm effectively the shepherd of their story, which is a really weighty story to be in charge of. It's about the loss of a father in particular, which is an intense emotion that's very difficult to put into words, let alone into a gameplay. So it's been a real challenge, but it's been a really fun one.
I don't know if I'll be able to play that game. I'm a daddy's girl, and I stress about that all the time because like I'm 42 now, and so my dad is like in his 70s. So like, but that's really cool. I've done some narrative design, but nothing as heavy as that. Like I did some narrative design for Monster High.
Okay.
So that IP. So that was like my first like actual job. So I'm like always inspired and like really excited.
Monster High, not Monster Prom.
No, Monster High.
Okay.
Ultimate Secrets, the IP from Mattel.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm always like really excited to meet other people who are very passionate about narrative. And so I hope at some point I get to the point that you're at. I don't know if I could do a story like that, but you know what I mean? Just like,
well, I mean, if I do my job right, then you should be able to play it and like go through it. That's the idea, right? Like if my job is done well, then anyone should be able to pick this up and empathize with the experience without feeling like they've lost their loved ones. I think the idea was about how to process those emotions, and so that's kind of the goal.
I'm excited to hear more about it.
Yeah, so I'm just curious. So you worked with Respawn and Scopely and that kind of thing. When you were working in like on Star Wars, right? What were like kind of the attributes that they were looking for when hiring someone in narrative design? Because you're multifaceted. Is it like you could do narrative design plus implementation, programming?
That was
like,
it.
Okay.
They wanted someone who could do story and also implement it. And at like the larger companies, it's becoming more of a tech heavy field. So like as a narrative designer, if you don't know your way around blueprints, you're going to struggle as the field becomes more and more tech reliant.
That's interesting. So I guess what would your, because I meet a lot of folks that are like, oh, I want to get into narrative design, I want to get into writing, or I just want to get into music. what do you think your advice would be to those folks who are like focused on those artistic that artistic expression?
If that's what you want to do, then do it. And like, I mean, start doing it now. Like, if you're a narrative person and you don't know how to build your own game in Twine, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, the first thing I would tell them is go build some visual novels in Twine and build in some gameplay into it. Show that you understand how to link gameplay and story. Show that you understand pacing. Show that you understand how to write dialogue. And also for narrative specifically, especially for writers, learn how to write make a bark sheet. Every AAA studio I know, one of the most important, crucial pieces of a writer's portfolio is their bark sheet, because it's the hardest part of the job, to be honest. Dialogue is our bread and butter, and any good writer is good at dialogue. Barks are a different animal because they have to be snappy, they have to be fast. You have to say the same line in 18 different ways. So it's a much more refined version of the craft, and a good bark writer is probably a better dialogue writer than someone who's not.
What's a bark sheet?
A bark sheet is a list of barks, which are the things that are shouted out by NPCs or player characters during gameplay. So a good example is on Jedi Survivor. Anytime a stormtrooper says something in combat, that's a bark.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay, that's cool.
That's really, because I didn't, even when I had to write for NPCs, like, they didn't call it that. They were just like, you need to have separate lines for NPCs. So that's what I did. But that's really interesting to know that, like, you should have something separately other than just branching narrative to show that you can do the pacing of the flow and everything like that.
Yeah, branching narrative, a bark sheet, and then a lot of places will either look at a screenplay. So if you can do like linear narrative, or they'll look at, if you have developed games, they'll just want to see your work. So when I submitted to Respawn, I had already built a game in grad school that we had shipped to Steam called Scamp Hi-Hat Havoc. And I did 2/3 of the dialogue for that game. And so I just sent them the script and all the things that the character said throughout the game. And I guess that was impressive enough. So.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What made you like decide to, hey, I'm in AAA, I'm going to start my own studio? And then, like, do you ever go back and forth, like, because you're doing some work for other folks, or you're like,
I'm over AAA. I am too multifaceted to stay in a AAA studio. AAA, if you're good at one thing and like maybe one other thing, then AAA is the right place for you to be in. So say you're a 3D modeler who can rig, and those are like your two skills. AAA is probably the right lane for you, because they want highly specialized individuals who have like a little bit of each part of their discipline, and then like one really deep part. Whereas in the indie space and the AA space, I find I get to wear more hats, and as my ADHD brain likes that, that's probably where I'm gonna stay. I love coding, I love writing, I love doing direction, I like production, and so getting to do all these different things across the spectrum of game development, basically anything but art, is not a thing I get to do in AAA. So that's probably why I'm more leaning indie AA space for the time being.
That makes sense, especially if you're somebody who's like really creative. It gives you the freedom to do different things. I can see getting bored just doing the same thing year after year, project after project. Even if it's a little different on the projects, you're still like modeling characters, you're still rigging characters. But this, you can like step away. Like, you can do narrative, and if you don't want to do narrative, then you can start doing some other stuff. So I think you're right. I think the indie space really allows people to have that kind of freedom to wear those different hats, which is why we have some incredible games coming out from the indie space.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not a one-man show. I'm no Toby Fox, right? Like, I can make music, but I'm nowhere near as good as someone does that for their entire career. I don't do art at all. My stick figures have back problems. It's not a good look. So, I know what I'm good at, and I stick to those things.
Wait, that's an extra quotable.
Yeah,
my stick figures have back problems. I'm trying to process
that on a
that
t-shirt.
Right. Yeah, that's hilarious. So, where can we find out more about you and the stuff you're working on?
Yeah, Blue Sky right now is probably the best bet for me. My studio is called Coquito Games, after the Puerto Rican holiday drink. You can find us on Blue Sky, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Those are the 3 platforms we're using right now that Twitter's died officially. And then personally, you can follow me at JRawry, so JRAWRY. It's very early millennial, mid 2000s, and I will not apologize for it. But yeah, those are probably the best spaces to follow me. I'm pretty active on those. Discord, I'd rather I know someone. So, but yeah, those Blue Skies is the spot.
That's hilarious that you even mentioned it.
It's like, if I don't know you, I'm not adding you. So
Yeah, so don't try to get in my Discord.
Don't try to get in my Discord.
I'm gonna look at them mutuals. If I don't see one, I'm just ignore.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, they're like crypto bots.
I'm gonna try to send them an invite. Yeah, I'm gonna try to send
we have a mutual server though.
That's true.
So I'll see it.
We have BVIG. Yeah, he'll be like, all right, she's cool.
Yeah, she's cool. She's got cat ears. She likes cats. Well, thank you for joining us. Yeah, we got to connect for real.
Absolutely.
We're like neighbors, basically. So, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, I thought you were down in LA. I didn't realize you were up this way.
Nah, I'm right up here. Yeah, you should come by the studio.
All up and down California. That's why you
I am in LA quite a bit. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, let's connect.
All right, Jerry. It was nice and it was a pleasure. And I am going to send you a DM because I would love to pick your brain just a tiny bit about narrative design if you don't mind.
Happy to help.
Thanks.
Awesome. Talk to you later.
Take it easy, yo.
That is our show, everyone. Such great developers, entrepreneurs, and folks putting it down for the culture. Destiny, what are your final thoughts?
Justin, as we wrap up today, I wanted to take a moment to appreciate just how important representation is in the gaming world. It's so vital to celebrate the amazing wins of Black folks in this industry, big or small. Every victory counts and helps make the gaming space a more welcoming place for everyone. When we share these wins, we inspire others to dream big and we show them what's possible. So let's keep lifting each other up. Because when we celebrate one another's successes, we're creating a stronger, a more diverse, and a more welcoming gaming community that honestly benefits us all. Together, we're not just making games, we're shaping the future.
Truth. And we'd like to give a shout out to all of our partners for today's showcase, Steam, IGN, GameSpot, and Twitch for helping to broadcast this, as well as Raw Fury, PlayStation, and Humble Bundle for making this happen.
And don't forget to check out our Steam event page. If you saw any games that piqued your interest, wishlist them, buy them, support the developers so that they can continue to create amazing things for you to play.
One of the most amazing things about Black Voice in Gaming is that we have gone from a showcase to a nonprofit, which is helping developers reach their dreams of creating and releasing their own games. If you'd like to help support some of the games you've seen today or in any other showcase, be sure to take a moment and donate to Black Voice in Gaming. We have a donation page. Also, check out our merch page. We got shirts, all kinds of stuff. If you like to keep up with the BVIG family, follow us on X at BVIG Gaming and Black Voices in Gaming everywhere else. Once again, I'm your host, Justin Woodward, co-founder of BVIG and The Mix.
And I'm Destiny, your co-host and a founder of Dames for Games. And I also work on BVIG and all the other stuff I do. It was great, Justin. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to share these amazing stories.
It was amazing. It was so great. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Peace.